to setting up our repo and committing. In this video, we will set up our repository. We will register source tree to make sure that we can commit later on. Learn how to exclude data from our repository, stage our files, and then finally make our first commit. So one of the questions is how many repositories? Now, on a complex project, you could use a repo per model that you create. This would give you the best level of control. But in this case, it's going to be our models simply aren't that detailed to warrant a repository just for the model. So you could track your whole project in a repo, and that is what we're going to do. Of course, it will depend on the complexity of your project and how much control you need, and that's very important. Now, talking about our repository, which is going to store and track the changes in our project for us, we can exclude data from it. And we do that to allow faster commits at a smaller size, and that keeps the database, the repository, simple and manageable. We want to avoid storing derived or generated data in the repository wherever necessary. An example here, for instance, will be our reference material. They might be photos you gathered off the internet or even gone and taken yourself. Those are going to be static and not changing. There's no point in storing them, and they're very large files in comparison to everything else. So we will want to exclude them. Then we'll go on to committing, and it is important that you'll need to save all the documents that constitute that commit first before staging them and then finally committing them. Now this is going to be like saving our working folder and zipping it up at that moment in time, but it's going to give us far more control over where we can go back to. We can even pull out files from way in the past and bring them back to the present with a new direction to them. So let's go on over and first set up our repository and then go through and manage these other things. So here we are in my file system. I'm using a Mac here. You'll be using Windows Explorer if you're on that, or whatever the Linux equivalent is. So we've got my home directory here, and I've created repos, and I've got two here that are called Game Asset Pack. One is for tracking my videos that I'm creating for you guys right here, and one of them is going to be an example. So I'm in a very similar position as you are, and then I'll show you what mine's looking at so you're familiar with it when I use it from now onwards. So I've got an example here that I'm going to make into my repository. So first of all, if you've not already done this, please pause the video now and go register source tree. If you've already done that, then let's carry on. Now I've already got some repositories here. You can see I've got 7 representing the 7 sections of the course so far. Now you're not going to see anything here whatsoever, but now we can go ahead and create a new repo. So we can click on New Repository, and we're going to create a local repository. It's the third option down. Once we've done that, we've got this destination path here. Now be careful, it's very easy to think that this name underneath is going to create a folder. If I just click create now, I'd end up with a repo called My Blender Project, which is great, but it's going to contain everything in my user section, and I don't want that. So I'm going to click these 3 dots to the right hand side and simply go and select the one I've created, which is this game pack example. I'm going to click on open. Now this is the name of the project here, and I'm going to name it My Blender Project. That's absolutely fine. Type git, that's what we want. And here, also create local remote repository. Leave that one unchecked. You go ahead and click create. And there we go. We've got a My Blender project that's appeared. And if we go ahead and double click on that, we can open it up, and you should have something that looks pretty similar to this. So I'm just going to rearrange these windows a little because it's been opened on a larger screen. So we have a series of, well, this area at the top here is staged files, and there's nothing staged yet. There's nothing ready for committing. So one of the first things we need to do is make sure that everything we've been working with has been saved and shut down. So if you've still got a Blender file open that hasn't been saved, as soon as we stage it, I say this is ready for commit in its current state, if you then go ahead and click save, even though it's been staged before, it won't be right. So what do we need to do? Well, we do want to keep our meshes. We can see here that the assets, this is our directory that we've got. So we've got meshes under here. We're just going to collapse that with that little arrow. We've got textures and my details about how to name textures. I want to keep that. And here is our reference material. And as you can see, I've just got a load of images from the internet. So I've put a warning there, do not use in the course directly, which is fine. So I've pulled a load of images there. Now I can select that, and when I select that I can go up to actions and select ignore, and it gives us a series of options. So here we've got ignore exact file name, so if you've got a specific file that you want to add to the git ignore, we can have ignore all files with this extension, and I don't want to do that because some of these PNGs, we're going to be reducing PNGs later on when we produce our own textures, so we certainly don't want that. I want to just ignore everything beneath. And in this case, anything that goes in that reference folder will not be added to our repository, and I'm very happy to that. So I'm going to go ahead now and click OK, and that will ignore that. I've then got a README file, which is what I build up as I go. And of course, you may want to add notes as you go into a text file, perhaps, that says at what stage you were thinking, etc. And that's a good log, and of course you can update that as you go. So now that I've got my assets, my meshes and textures, I can just click up the top here and select everything, and we can see it moves from the bottom here to the top. Now that we've done that, it's staged and it's ready for committing. Now I like to keep my commit messages nice and short and put the detail about what's going on in my README file. And here, for instance, I can say first commit, because that is what it is. We've now got stuff that we can commit, and I'm going to hit commit. And there we go. Everything's disappeared from the screen. What's gone on here? Well, we're no longer looking at our what's called master branch. So on the left hand side here, you can see it says master. If we go ahead and click on that, then we can see what's going on, and that is the first commit. Now if we go ahead and change anything, we'll have changes up on top. So I am now going to show you my particular repository so you can see how it looks after you've done a few commits. Okay, so we're back over on my repository here, and you can see I've got my initial commit down here. Then I fleshed out my README with what I want to do, basic folder structure made, one of the lectures is there, another lecture is here, and this is going to be the end of the 10th lecture. So what I would do in this particular case is I'd make sure that all of my items that I needed were staged, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and hit commit, and these are the triangles that I've been working on, and I'm going to put in here the name of the lecture that I'm working on, which is very powerful. And I've got that in my paste buffer, so I can just paste that in. Now, ordinarily, you're not going to be using this push changes. I am, because I've got an online repo as well, and we might cover that later on. But don't worry about pushing changes here. That's something I need to do. You won't. And once I've done that, we can see that there are no more changes, and I've now got that all set up and ready to go. Okay guys, so it's challenge time. I'd like you to make your commit. So an optional task here is to create a text file explaining what you have done. That helps you keep track of your changes, since we can't really see what's going on in individual Blender files, and we want to keep those commit names as short and succinct as possible. Make sure you save all your open documents, ignore your reference material, stage your files, and then finally commit with a short and precise name as to what it is. It's a title for that commit. I've already done mine, so no need to pause the video, and I will see you guys in the next lecture.